Good evening, Angela Pearman for ABC News. The Prime Minister has left Australia on the first leg of a 10-day Asian and European tour. First stop Singapore for talks on APEC with his counterpart, Goh Chok Tong. He'll open a technology fair in Germany, the largest of its kind in the world, with more than 150 Australian companies exhibiting.
10 years ago, we would have had maybe 2 or 3 companies only being able to be in this. I think this is a demonstration of the new Australia. It's the way the world's going, and we're not being left behind.
While in Germany, Paul Keating will hold trade talks with Chancellor Kohl. He'll later address the World Summit for Social Development in Copenhagen. Federal health officials have given the Gold Coast Indy car race permission to carry tobacco advertising the length of its circuit. Organisers have welcomed the decision, but medical authorities have called on the federal government for an immediate reversal.
Surfers Paradise, the heart of the Gold Coast, is now in full swing, preparing for Indy Grand Prix 95. More than $8 million worth of taxpayers' money is being sunk into the venture after last year's major sponsor pulled out. A month ago, the Indy was at least $1 million short, but now a tobacco company has made up half of that. Federal health officials have granted Marlborough an exemption to the ban on tobacco sponsorship of sport. Reaction from the medical profession and cancer authorities has been swift.
Dr. Lawrence has done a complete backflip. This unfortunate decision by the Federal Health Minister is promoting a conflicting message to our young people in Australia.
Queensland Sports Minister has some reservations but says the money is vital. A spokeswoman for Federal Health Minister Carmen Lawrence says the exemption will be strictly controlled and the ads around the circuit will have to carry large health warnings.
It's been a day of mixed fortunes on the flood-damaged Eyre Highway on the Nullarbor. Several hundred trucks and cars have been cleared, but further rain caused the closure of the road again this afternoon.
After days of waiting, the big trucks were finally moving again early this morning, authorities escorting them around the damaged section of highway. But that all came to a halt this afternoon, with further rain forcing the closure of the road again.
Fortunately, the long-term weather forecast, we are told, is for a gradual improvement in the weather and drying conditions as we move into next week. So we are hopeful that the situation will rapidly improve.
Attempts were being made this evening to get some of the vehicles that had banked up at the road break moving, but police have warned other travellers to stay put.
That at this stage they should stay where they are until they get advice that the road is open.
The prognosis is not so good for the east-west rail link. A section is underwater and it's likely to take anywhere between 1 and 4 weeks to fix.
That will automatically increase the heavy traffic flow across the Nullarbor road route, and people need to be aware of the increased heavy traffic.
Police have also dismissed criticism from some truckies that they've given fuel trucks special treatment.
There's 2 things that stop vehicles: no roads and no fuel. We have to cover both of those eventualities and make sure that there is fuel east of the break.
Weather conditions will determine whether the road will be reopened tomorrow.
The financial world's most wanted man, Nick Leeson, may spend months in a Frankfurt jail as lawyers argue over which court he'll face. The former trader will challenge Singapore extradition attempts. He's said to prefer British justice.
Tonight, wearing a baseball cap and jeans, Nick Leeson headed for what could be as long as 4 months in a Frankfurt jail. Höchst prison will be his temporary home, while the lengthy extradition case is argued before a court. Earlier, officials from the Singapore Justice Department had arrived in Frankfurt alleging the derivatives trader forged documents in order to commit fraud. But producing enough evidence to satisfy the Germans will take time.
We have no comments at this particular juncture.
In a holding cell near the court, Mr. Leeson remained for most of the day. From here, he sent word that he intends fighting any attempt to return him to Singapore, saying he doesn't trust the justice system there. And after visiting him, his lawyer said Mr. Leeson would rather go to Britain to answer any accusations.
In sport, Cathy Freeman has won the National 400-metre Championship, her first big win of the year. Atrocious conditions couldn't douse the extra spark Freeman produced following several early season defeats. Tomorrow she faces rival Melinda Gainsford in a 200-metre showdown.
A little bit slow was Gainsford, led out by Melissa Moore. But now Gainsford takes over, 40 metres from home. She's going to win it by 2 or 3 metres. Jaya Singer battling well with Lambert for second place. It's Gainsford thin, 11.44.
Well, I didn't really get out that well today, so I was pretty cranky with myself, so I sort of think I inspired myself.
The men's 100 promised a blanket finish. Capobianco, Marsh and Brimacombe all capable of winning it. But the fastest qualifier was Shane Naylor.
Naylor a little bit slow this time. Now he gets going in front of Jackson, in front of Marsh. Capobianco starting to come through for second. Naylor's going to hold it through to the finish. Naylor is the Australian champion.
His 10.46 seconds was 0.16 of a second faster than Marsh. Capobianco was third. To the women's 400 and the clash between Renee Poetska and Cathy Freeman. Freeman's been having an easy-paced domestic season, and many doubted she could lift for this race.
Poetska trying to fight back. Freeman trying to hold her stride pattern. She does, and she's the Australian champion. Anybody who had written her off on what we've seen so far this season will be eating their words right now.
Yeah, I felt awful. And I really had to depend on my speed turnover in the last 100. I was lucky that I got the inside line.
Freeman's clash with Melinda Gainsford tomorrow over 200 metres will be the race of the championship.
This year's 18th Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras parade is currently making its way through Sydney streets. The world's largest night parade has served up plenty of bare flesh, sequins and leather. And while the wet weather has kept numbers down, partygoers haven't let the rain get in the way of a good time. The parade, this year boasting 140 floats, culminates at the Sydney Showground later tonight. And the weather forecast around the country tomorrow: showers expected in Sydney, Adelaide, Darwin and Alice, fine in Melbourne, Hobart and Perth, and mostly fine in Brisbane and Canberra. And that's all from the ABC's National Newsroom tonight. Just a reminder, there'll be 5 time zones across Australia from tomorrow, when New South Wales and the ACT end daylight savings and wind their clocks back an hour. And it will all change again in another 3 weeks when the other daylight saving states end theirs. Good night.